work, you're entitled to workers' compensation benefits. But how do you get the benefits that you need? Well, a lot of people turn to lawyers to help them get these important benefits. And on this episode of the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer Livestream Podcast, we're going to have a discussion about when you should hire a lawyer for your workers' compensation claim. So, George, when should someone hire a lawyer for their workers' compensation claim?
It's a great question, Alex. A lot of people have a question in their mind of whether they should obtain an attorney or not in different aspects of their life. Obviously, if you're going through a divorce attorney, especially if your partner has got one, is a great idea because they're gonna fleece you. You're gonna end up losing probably a lot of money, probably custody. If you don't know your way around a certain legal subject, it could be very, very hard for you. In workers' compensation, it's not like criminal law. It's not like an attorney is going to be provided for you. You have to decide whether you want to get one or not. Now, the nice thing about a workers' compensation attorney is that they're not going to charge you anything up front. As we've discussed in a couple of videos, you don't pay anything for the doctors. You don't pay anything for the attorney. At the end, it's 15% attorney fees for whatever they're able to obtain for you. So cost shouldn't be an issue, right? That's number one. Cost should not be an issue. You shouldn't think to yourself, oh my gosh, should I get an attorney? It's going to cost me a lot of money. That's not something you should say to yourself. I think that it would be very wise to look into getting an attorney because although they might get the attorney fees at the end, they will obtain a lot more money for you in the end as well. So if we look at the statistics of how much people are able to obtain for themselves without an attorney, there is a vast gap on what can be obtained if someone hires an attorney. So I think that if you're looking at it from a money aspect, I think it's a really, really wise choice to get an attorney. Now, I will say there are instances when maybe you don't need an attorney. Like if you sustained a very small injury and you are literally going to be out for a week or two, but you're going to recover 100%. That's probably not a good time to get an attorney, right? Maybe they offered you medical attention and the doctor said, oh, it was a little cut. It's going to heal fine. There's no nerve damage. There's nothing that can be done for you except giving you time to heal. That might be an instance when you might not want to get an attorney. It's not a big deal. You're not going to require a lot of extensive medical treatment. You're not going to encounter a lot of barriers.
If you've had an injury at work and you're trying to get these benefits that you need, you think you might get by for a while and, I just won't have a lawyer. Well, the insurance company, they have attorneys.
Right.
They understand how the system works. They're experts at it. And just like with a divorce case, like you mentioned, just like with any other case, you got to have a representative on your side who understands the system. So if you're out there and you've been injured at work, it's best to consult with a lawyer right away as soon as possible to get the guidance that you need to make sure that you're making the right decision. Now, it may be, like George mentioned, you have a small injury. Maybe you don't need a workers' compensation lawyer, but you should at least consult with one as soon as possible. Now, if you have a more serious injury, like a back injury or something that's potentially going to put you out of work for a long period of time, or maybe completely displace you from your job, you can't do your job ever again, definitely going to want a lawyer. And, adjuster's doing this, the adjuster's doing that. Is that something they can do? You don't know because this is your first rodeo. Yeah. Even if you've been through the system once before, you haven't been through the system 1,000 times like the claims adjuster has.
Yeah. And let me tell you something that I've seen recently, and it's very disturbing, and it's happened several times. Although the employee clearly got hurt at work, it was a specific injury. It wasn't even a cumulative trauma. The employer is making them fill out FMLA paperwork instead of workers' compensation. So they're not even getting temporary disability. They're out with a cut finger. Maybe they cut the whole finger off, or maybe they had a bad laceration or a broken bone. Clearly a workers' compensation issue. Clearly they should be getting paid while they're recovering, but the employer is making them sign FMLA paperwork. And if you don't know what that is, you can always ask a question, but it's a Family Medical Leave Act. It's another type of law that has nothing to do with workers' compensation. So they try to get one over on you whenever they can.
It might be appropriate that you're doing the FMLA paperwork for job protection. But if you're not getting a workers' compensation claim form, they're not sending you to the doctor to get medical treatment, they're not paying you temporary disability, then they're not doing what they should be doing. And that's one instance where you better get an attorney right away.
Yeah.
Now, it may be that they're lulling you into a sense of security. Mm-hmm. I think, George, you mentioned, hey, you're working with the adjuster. Well, I'll just keep working with the adjuster and see how things go. maybe you should think twice if it's a very serious injury.
Yeah, and let me explain about the FMLA. It might be appropriate to fill out that paperwork, but I'll tell you what's not appropriate is using your vacation time, using your personal time,
Right.
and using your sick time when you should clearly be off on workers' compensation benefits, temporary disability.
So you're going to have a dispute over your benefits at some point in the claim. I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later. They might be paying you right now. They might be giving you what you think you deserve right now, if you even know what you deserve. But if you think you're getting what you deserve, just wait until time goes by and it starts getting towards 6 months or 9 months.
Right.
And suddenly they stop giving you what you need and you don't have a lawyer on the case. So I think the answer to the question and the big concern that a lot of people should be looking at is what's the long-term what's the long-term on this injury?
Right. And then along those lines, Alex, if you don't seek, I wouldn't even say legal representation, but at least legal advice, a consultation with an attorney sooner rather than later, what could happen is your claim is progressing. And every time it's progressing and you don't have legal advice, you could be harming your claim. You could be seeing the wrong doctors. You could be getting the wrong medical treatment. You could be digging yourself into a hole when you finally say, you know what, this is enough. They're really trying to screw me over. I need an attorney. At that point, the attorney's going to have their work cut out for them. Even the best attorneys might have to try to reverse all the work that was done already because it's been such a long time that you might have a problem on your hand and you might have hurt your claim in the long run to where, you know, it might not be a total loss, but you would get a lot less than you would have got if you would have consulted with an attorney in the beginning of your claim, of your injury, and seen how to proceed from there.
Yeah, because the doctor that you're seeing has a lot of power over what happens.
Yeah.
So let's say the employer is doing the right thing and they're sending you to the clinic. What's the clinic going to do? Go back and watch our first episode.
Right.
If they wash you out, if they say, hey, you're all better, that's all that I can do for you, boom. Now suddenly you have a work slip that puts you back to work full time and you can't do the job and then you don't show up and then your employer terminates you for no call, no show.
Yeah.
And that's something that could happen. And if that's the doctor's note that you have and that you're relying on, it could be hard to prove otherwise. And that's something that can happen just like that. But if you have a lawyer on the case, lawyers can help you navigate the industrial clinic. They're going to help you find a doctor in the medical provider network that's going to be more amenable to helping you, hopefully. And then your lawyer can object to the claim, to the doctor's report, and can say, hey, you can get a QME. And if all that's already happened, there's not much the lawyer can do to help you. I mean,
Right.
so getting a lawyer soon is very important.
Yeah, and here's something that I've seen a lot, actually, and it's sad, and I want to warn our viewers about, okay? If you work somewhere and you feel like you have a really good relationship with your boss and you're injured, your boss might tell you, hey, don't report this. Go home, go get medical treatment. I'll pay for the emergency room. I'll pay for whatever treatment you need. I'll pay for any testing and all the medical treatment. Go and do that. Don't report it because our premiums are going to go up. It's going to hurt the company, whatever the case might be. Now, because the employee feels like they have some type of responsibility towards their employer because they've been there a long time and they're happy where they're at and they feel like it's a family. Well, here's the situation and here's what happens. Most of the time, the employer gets sick of paying out of their pocket. And they're going to stop and they're going to try to just say, hey, no, you're good. Get back to work. Can't pay for any more medical treatment. You should be done by now. You're not that hurt. And now you're in a pickle because if you do choose to speak to an attorney, which you definitely should at this point, the attorney is going to have to prove that what's on the medical record is not true. What you said first is not true. Now you look bad because you lied and you said you got hurt at home or you got hurt at a sporting event or some type of sports situation, or you were hurt some other way. That's already on the record. I've seen this happen so many. Have you seen this, Alex? Have you seen that happen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happens within a couple weeks.
Okay.
So, I mean, the employer is going to cut you off within a week or two.
Oh, yeah.
And you think in the first week, oh, okay. The second week, okay. Third week, no, you're done.
Yeah. And the problem is that, once again, once you've already told the doctor when you went to go see him first and lied for your employer, then that's on the record. So now we're trying to say, oh, you really did get hurt at work. We want workers' compensation benefits. They're going to say, no. He went to the doctor, but he said he was hurt at home. And that will come up throughout the whole claim. Even if we try to establish everything, they're going to pretty much view this injured employee as a liar. And whose fault was it? It was the employer's. But hey, did they lie on the record? They did. So that damages your credibility and possibly, and most definitely, your claim. I mean, just how much it damages it, we don't know, but it'll definitely do some
Maybe it
damage.
can destroy your credibility.
Right.
It can make the judge question your veracity,
Yeah.
and that's super hard to overcome. And like you said, George, the claims adjuster is going to just harp on that
Yeah.
throughout the whole claim. They're
whole
going to
claim.
deny the claim. They're not going to pay you temporary disability benefits, even if the QME is on your side. They're still
Right.
going to deny it on the basis that it's factually false.
Right.
You're a liar, and you're going to have to back yourself up, despite the fact that you were just trying to cover for your employer.
Right.
Maybe you were trying to, save your job at the time.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to really start to think, if you're injured, how injured are you?
Right.
Is this a cut or a laceration? You're just going to have one hospital bill. The employer's going to cover it. You're going to go back to work. You're going to be in their good graces because you didn't report a claim. I mean, if that's your situation, then that's your decision to make. You should still consult with a lawyer. But if you're really injured and you're not getting back to work anytime soon, you need to really consider getting an attorney and protecting yourself, because your employer doesn't have your best interests at heart. Your employer has their operation in mind when they're considering what they're going to do with you.
Exactly. I used to work for a very large company, and, the atmosphere was very family-like. Everybody loved each other. We went hung out outside of work. But ultimately, I think what people need to understand that I didn't understand when I was younger is that a business is a business. And as much as they love you, you really aren't family. You are replaceable. At any point in time, they could fire you and just get somebody else off the street to work. Everybody wants to work. Everybody wants a good paying job. Everybody wants to be in that situation. So you have to look out for yourself. You have to look out for your future and your family. And if you're injured, and if that injury is going to affect your future in getting another job or continuing to work and do the work that you are doing now, then you have to figure out how to best handle the situation and what to do that's going to affect your family and yourself in a positive manner instead of a negative one. And the insurance company, along with the employer, are looking at profit margins. They're looking at how their company is going to grow. And you being hurt on the job is not a good situation for them. It means losses. So once again, I think, Alex, something very important for our viewers to grasp, understand, and really think about is when you're injured on the job, you need to think about your future. You need to think about your family. You need to think about how it's going to impact your money-making ability for your loved ones. So the best way to do that and to handle this workers' compensation situation would be to hire the best attorney possible. I think, and get a consultation and go with someone that you feel really comfortable with, that is knowledgeable and has experience.
Yeah, call some lawyers, run the situation by them, listen to what they have to say, because the lawyer is going to be able to guide you more specifically on these types of decisions that you need to make. Remember, this is general information only. It's not legal advice. If you need legal advice, you can reach our injury helpline. It's 844-984-8414, and we'll give you a free consultation. We'll listen to the specific facts and circumstances of your case, and then we'll say, hey, this is maybe what the future holds for you. These are the decisions that you're going to have to make down the line. Do you want to be making these decisions alone, or do you want to have help? And that's what a workers' compensation lawyer is there for. So you can consult with them, and then also to give you guidance through the system, because the system's very, very rigid. And once you go through it and you're 9 months or 12 months after the fact and you haven't gotten an attorney, it's going to be really hard for that lawyer to make your claim a success. And it's a very sad situation when we get phone calls a year later and the injured worker is being told, well, that's all that you get, and you can't come back to work, and you're displaced from your job, and good luck, your temporary disability is over, and the medical treatment that you're supposed to get is just impossible to get. It's all been denied. That's it. Now, you might be able to get some money on that claim if you get a lawyer at that point, but you're not going to get the benefits that you probably would have gotten if you consulted a lawyer right away.
I agree with that, Alex. Yeah.
So the lawyer is going to help you gather evidence. They're going to help you demand payment that you're entitled to. They're going to help you navigate the doctors and the QME, and also ultimately increase the exposure on the insurance carrier. Because remember, as the claim goes forward, the insurance adjuster is trying to limit the exposure, limit the exposure, limit the exposure. A lawyer is trying to get you everything you can get you everything you can get you everything you can get. And as you have a lawyer on your side who's pushing on the adjuster to get you more, then at the end of the claim, or as you get to the point where the claim's to settle and the adjuster knows that you have a lawyer that's just pushing, the exposure's there, the adjuster's going to pay you more money than if you were just on your own.
Yeah.
Which is nothing if you're on your own. I mean, most of the time. You might get a little bit of permanent disability, but cashing out your claim for anything substantial without an attorney, and that's why you need to consult with a lawyer right away.
That's correct. And I've seen so many cases where the money offered to an injured worker is so small. And once we take the claim over, even after just a little bit of time, if it's already in the settlement stage and they got to that point, we were able to increase it by a lot to where it was definitely worth it for the injured worker to get an attorney. Even with the attorney fees, they doubled, tripled, quadrupled what they were going to get. So that's not always the case. Once again, Alex mentioned this is not legal advice. No case is alike. And, you know, the outcome might be different for you, but we can always go over all the specifics of your claim and see what we can do for you and give you the best possible advice.
Your claim could be in a very bad and difficult spot.
Yeah.
You might have already told your doctor that you got hurt at home. Your employer might have already been paying you while you were off, and now you're going to try to make a claim, and you've already made a boo-boo. You've already misrepresented to a doctor how you got injured.
Right.
I mean, that's a factual dispute that could be, now maybe there's some way in the claim that we can prove that you got hurt at work. Like, it's just like there's no way it happened at home, or there was somebody who saw it. Mm-hmm. And there are ways to overcome those types of denials. But again, that's why you need to have a lawyer on your side fighting for these benefits.
That's correct.
Well, I think that concludes our discussion for today. How important is it for you to get a lawyer after a work-related injury? It's extremely important to at least consult with one. So if you've been injured, dial our injury helpline, 844-984-8414. Ask for a free consultation. We'd be more than happy to go into the details of your situation and give you the feedback that you need to make the best decision for your life.